Hello. I'm so excited to start our very first ever deep dive into R.I.S.E magazine. So we've got me and Mark here today, and we're going to be welcoming a whole host of people from the magazine to talk about their articles and everything about issue 3. Are you looking forward to it, Mark?
Yeah, I really am looking forward to it, Cap. And it's a shame we couldn't fit everybody in because there's so much great learning. You might not be able to see this, but I mean, even wearing, like for Harry's piece about chess in the classroom, I'm actually wearing chess piece cufflinks on my shirt. Look, there's the pawn. See, look, there's your little bishop.
I'm sure
I
she
played
appreciate that.
I played chess with my children, and so it is actually a present from them. So a big thing that we do in our family. But really excited to welcome Alan Tsui, who has written a great article in the magazine, Lifting Limits on Learning with Technological Tangibles. So really looking forward to learning more about how he's using robotical and the things he wrote about inside his article. Then we've got Toria Bono, of course, of Tiny Voice Talks fame. Maybe drop in a little bit there about her upcoming book as well. Then we got Fabian Darku coming on, talking about reflecting and correcting the purpose. That's a great article, really helpful, reflecting on your practice in the classroom. So I'm looking forward to hearing about him and his article. Then we've got Jonathan Coy, How to Make Your Subject Leadership Successful. Leading a department's subjects, particularly in secondary, in my experience, is such a difficult job. Supporting your colleagues in a team, whilst trying to sort of push back against some of the expectations of SLT, being a real powerhouse for change within the school as well. So looking forward to hearing his perspectives on that. Then we've got Kate McCallam talking about grit in the curriculum and its importance there. And then last but by no means least, we've got Penny Whelan joining us, talking about supporting learners who have English as an additional language in the primary classroom. So lots and lots to pick up and discuss and dive deeper into, as you said.
Absolutely.
Which bits are you looking forward to most? Which bits are you looking forward to the most, Kat?
Oh, I don't think I can pick any favourites. They're all going to be brilliant. Although I am interested to see how Penny is going to do, because she does say she has a terrible cold. So it might be interesting to see just how much she can share about her article with us at the end. But no, lots and lots of really good stuff. Or just like you say, Mark, I wish we could have everyone on because there was so many brilliant articles to share.
Yeah, and you know what as well, right? It's something that I think we can be really, really proud of collectively, because coming together, I mean, that's one of the things which is great about Toria's Tiny Voice initiative, It's about bringing teachers together in a really positive way to share, collaborate, communicate. And, I've always shared about, Twitter being like the best staff room in the world. And for a long, long time, it really has been. But unfortunately, it's become more like a real life classroom in recent times, with a few mood overs and a few drains every now and then. But with initiatives like Tiny Voice, and I'm going to have to get it, I keep pronouncing it wrong. Maybe it's late in the day.
Tiny Voice.
Tiny Voice is Tiny. But what's lovely about it?
First, Mark. Teeth back in. Tiny Voice.
What it is just the positivity, and me, I'm a huge advocate for education. I think it's a real force for good in the world, and it's so important we role model good behaviour as adults in these places and spaces too. So yeah, I think as a collective coming together, and fair play to you as well, because having done a few school magazines in my time, I know how hard it can be to manage all of that, getting people to get their work done on time and to deadlines and things. How do you manage it all, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is hard work, but I think I manage it all because I really enjoy it. And I think we're really lucky that we have such good quality stuff coming in from everyone, that everyone's obviously really passionate, and that really shows through in their writing. So although there's editing and stuff to do, all the content that's there is brilliant. So it's just a case of like polishing it up really, and just kind of making sure that all their like key points shine through. It's just really great to have that platform for everyone. So I make it work because it's worth it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, look, we've been talking a lot about R.I.S.E magazine. If you haven't read it yet, then please do. Just scrolling across the bottom here now, you should be able to see a URL. If you haven't read R.I.S.E magazine yet, then please do visit netsupportsoftware.com/RISE-magazine, where you can get access to your free copy. Say, many articles there. And it's not just about the articles. There's plenty of resources there too. A popular resource has been shared from the magazine recently, for example. If you're looking to develop your PLN, your Professional Learning Network, there's a periodic table of US EdTech educators to follow on there. There's another resource on there, which is a little infographic, which sort of starts thinking about how you can have some of those difficult conversations you might need to have sometimes. Sometimes that can be with a colleague, sometimes that can be with a parent, sometimes it can be with a child, but some advice being shared in there. But this isn't about you and me this evening,
no,
Kat, is it?
That's really
we can talk for absolute Britain. So we'd like to welcome our first guest onto the show this evening, please.
I'm
Kat.
so excited because our very first guest is going to be Alan Tsui, who's going to be talking all about his article, Lifting the Limits on Learning with Technological Tangibles. I know you mentioned it briefly before, Mark, about his work with Robotical, and it was an excellent piece that really just dove into how to make computing really engaging all the way from reception up to secondary. So welcome to the show, Alan.
Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you're watching from, or good morning.
Oh yeah, could be a different time of day.
Yeah, absolutely. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good.
Really excited to be here, and
I think we lost you, Alan.
Seems to have lost Alan for a second there. I think he was going to ask us how we are, but I think we've shared that a little bit enough already.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is just give Alan just a few more seconds, see if he comes back. If he doesn't, luckily we've got Toria in the green room waiting, so I can see she's now steadying herself. She's moving her mic around. She's getting ready. She's drinking out that bottle of gin straight out the bottle. I'm joking, obviously. So I'll drop Alan back out for a second and welcome Toria onto the show to talk a bit about her article. Welcome, Toria.
Thank you for being keen. We've managed to sneak
that was
you in
highly unexpected. It really was. I was just going, oh yes, I'll just wander off, and then suddenly it was like, and we'll have Toria back. Right. Hi. I won't ask you how you are, but I've got to say, Kat, magazine is phenomenal, and I'm so grateful that both you and Mark are doing this evening to really celebrate the collective voices that have come together in this magazine. I mean, I'm all about the collective, and as Mark said, that positivity, bringing together that positivity, so important. So I absolutely love what you both do. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. And we absolutely love what you do. But for anyone that doesn't know you and has maybe been living under a rock, could you introduce yourself and what you do?
I am Toria Bono, and I run a thread on Twitter called Tiny Voice Talks on a Tuesday that morphed into a podcast in which I interview the quieter voices in education about everything and anything. And we are now over 100 episodes, which is just phenomenal. And we've got the Tiny Voices Talk book out in October. So that again is a collective of about 30 educators from early years to further education, talking about everything and anything. It's just the most phenomenal book, and I'm so grateful that so many voices that haven't necessarily been heard before are actually being given the chance to be in print.
Oh, absolutely. And I think honestly, the Tiny Voice Talks is one of the kind of inspirations behind R.I.S.E magazine. It was that kind of platform for those voices to be shared, because like I talked about when I came on to your podcast review, everybody does have something to share, and I can't wait to read the book. It'll be brilliant, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've got to say that's what I love about the magazine. Sorry, Mark, I'll be quiet. You can ask questions.
Don't be quiet. It's more about
I'm dreadful. I'm absolutely dreadful. It's just like, I'll just talk. I never get to talk on my podcast.
I was going to say, is it available for pre-order? Is it on IT Press, perhaps?
You can go on to, it is on IT Press. It's Crown House. It's on IT Press, because the amazing Ian Gilbert was my editor. I just love Ian so much, because he has helped me. And actually, I have to say, he has had belief in me when I have completely doubted myself. And, that's just amazing, really. So yeah, IT Press, people can get hold of it, or Crown House, and it's available pre-order now.
Amazing. So if people
Brilliant
want kind of a
stuff.
bit of a taster of your book, a really good thing to do would be to pick up the latest R.I.S.E. So obviously you've got your brilliant article in it where you talked about listening and the power of silence. Can you tell us a bit more about your article and why you wrote it?
Yeah, it's a funny one, actually. So Tiny Voice Talks has sort of morphed into many things, including me podcasting. And then what I discovered about podcasting is actually I love finding out about people and what makes them tick. And I discovered that I could actually listen when I was quiet enough. And that I wanted to do coaching. So I've moved into coaching. I'm doing a coaching diploma alongside being a full-time class teacher, which is quite insane.
That is
And
insane.
it is. But I absolutely love it. And I will be a qualified coach in 2023. But it's absolutely amazing. And what I tend to write for you, depending on where I feel in that moment. And what was really coming up for me was the fact that all too often in life, we forget to listen. We're so busy. And then I was thinking about, not just, do we forget to listen to one another, but actually, do we voice ourselves in the staff room? Do we listen to others in group meetings? Do we listen to the children? Do we give them the opportunity to talk, or are we just being that sort of, I heard the phrase years ago, sage on the stage, which it can happen all too often in the classroom. Actually, how often are we quiet and how often do we allow silence to actually just be held? And that's what I wrote about fundamentally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was actually really interesting and it made me think a lot about that. And I really liked the part where you talked about how sometimes we're so eager to show that we relate and to kind of share some good advice or something that we're not really present. I thought that was a really good point that you mentioned.
I think children are taught that at a really young age, tell your friend that you did something like that. And they learn it at such a young age that it's actually really hard to not do that. And I was running staff training the other day and so, about similar thing. And the staff were like, it's so hard not to say, oh yeah, I've got a story like that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So jumping into the magazine for a second, Toria, were there any other articles in the magazine that stood out for you? What was your experience of, how did you find the magazine reading it as a whole? And obviously lovely to have your article in there, being able to sort of spotlight that and share your voice in there. But were there any other bits in there that sort of really stood out for you?
What I really like is the fact that there's an eclectic mix, is what I would say. You can flick through it and there's such a lovely mix. So you've got Alan's fabulous article. Then you've got Penny. I always like reading Penny's stuff. But you've also got the other things that you've referred to, like the periodic table of US Ed Tech. You've got the podcasts mentioned. You've got book reviews. There's so much in there. There's not just one thing. And I tend to pick it up and I do randomization. So literally pick it up and I'll sort of just try and literally just go, okay, I'm just going to put in this number and see what occurs rather than looking. I don't look at the contents page because if I'm honest, there are certain articles I would read before others. But actually what I've found, interestingly, are the ones that I haven't necessarily chosen have been the ones I've gone, oh my goodness, that's absolutely fascinating. It really is. Which segues nicely actually into Alan's article because, I hadn't necessarily thought, oh yeah, I need to learn about this. And actually when I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, the world needs to read it.
It's interesting, isn't it? How you can have that initial perception, but then like you say, there's something to take away from it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Alan, who did come back into the green room, has dropped back out again. So
you
in the
missed
absence
that
of Alan,
he's for Alan to enter.
I know
it really was.
It's like laying the carpet down, ready.
I know, I really was, and yeah, okay.
So let's work on the basis that Alan will come back, but just in case he doesn't, Toria, could you share a little bit about the article and what your takeaways were from that?
Oh God, I'd be really nervous to and not do him justice. Does that sound weird? I really would. Oh no, I'm going to say,
That's
looking
that's
for
absolutely fine. That's absolutely
I
fine.
don't want to share it and not do him justice, if that makes sense, because I might share the wrong things from it because I'm not sharing it from his level of expertise, if that makes any sense.
No, it's great that you connected with it. And so you talked about the magazine. What was your experience writing for it like?
Oh, well, you're just lovely, aren't you?
Oh,
I mean, you're just great.
Expecting you to say that.
When I'm having a moment, because anyone that is watching this that is considering writing and thinks, oh no, I can't. Kat's great, because even though I write, even though I do podcasts, even though I do all the things I do, I still have huge crises of confidence, and will message her with, I don't know what to write, I can't think, and she'll just go, it's absolutely fine, just make sure it's into me by, and she'll give me the date, and then I suddenly find, usually an hour before the deadline, I get this moment of oh yes, and I'll write about this, and I send it in. And what I find is that you are incredibly supportive. And the other thing I would say is you're a highly professional organization. It's really nice. All the communication I receive, the fact that you keep me in the loop the whole time, the fact that you just make sure that I feel treated like a professional, and I hugely, hugely appreciate that. So thank you.
Oh no, thank you, Toria. That's really lovely to hear, and I'm so
glad
anyone out there,
anyone out there that wants to write is what I would say. Do it.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And if you do want to write, the address across the bottom where you can access the magazine, actually, if you go to that same address, down the bottom of that page is a form. Simply fill it in and you can join Toria and Alan and all the other authors in submitting your ideas for your article to be in the next edition of the R.I.S.E magazine. Now, in the green room now, Toria, is Alan. So
he's back.
We can't get a rewind, but I will bring him in because, Alan, welcome back.
Yeah. I've just sold you. I have sold you massively, Alan.
You missed it all.
Hugely. I have said how amazing your article is. And then Mark wanted me to sort of give a general overview of your article. And I panicked because I thought I won't do it justice because it's so good. So it's so good, Alan. I'm handing over to you now.
Thank you. Can I ask you, Toria? This is the first time we've got to speak to each other.
Yeah, it is. How exciting!
Do you post your Tiny Voice Talks Tuesday post at midnight, or is it done by the magic of technology?
No, it is done. So I post it at midnight because what I found is I've got people all the way over in the east of the world, basically Australia and beyond, who are all up that early. And what I was finding was that posting it when I was getting up was missing a lot of people. I've also got people in the US that actually want to do it before they go to bed on a Monday.
And so what my staff lanyard, sorry.
Yeah. So what I did, Alan, was I started posting it on a Tuesday at midnight. And what I do is I set, if I've gone to bed beforehand, I set an alarm to wake myself up at midnight to post it.
Oh wow.
Every dedication. It is dedication, people.
Brilliant.
Sorry,
stuff.
Everyone.
No, that's okay. I'm so excited to be here and meeting Toria. It's brilliant. So thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kat, for making this happen.
Yeah, and thank you for your dodgy internet. We might have not crossed paths. All right, thank you so much, Toria, for coming on. And
thank you, Toria.
Best of luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Alan. Hopefully you'll be able to stay with us a bit longer this time.
It is a bizarre thing. I'm not going to mention the name of the company. I don't want to do them disjustice. Anyway, let's hope the yogurt pot now works.
Absolutely. So, Alan, for those that don't know you like we do, can you just introduce yourself a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, I'd love to think that everybody does know me. I am Tsui ALLEN on Twitter. I have been a teacher since 2012 on and off. What else can I say? East London. I work in East London, live in North London. Before becoming a teacher, I was a desk jockey for nearly a quarter of a century. So I'm a lot older than I appear. And I was just telling colleagues today that my intention, if we have to talk about personal intents, given the Ofsted speak, my personal intent is to stay at my current school, which is an amazing school called Willowbrook Primary in East London, until the reception class I currently teach become year 6, when I will leave with them as I retire. So that's the plan.
Alan, that's so lovely. You're going to see them all the way through. I love that. That kind of actually leads me in a bit to your article, because obviously you talked about the progression of computing, didn't you?
Indeed.
Yeah. So can you tell us a bit more about your article, lifting limits on learning and technological tangibles, and why you wrote it?
I love the fact that we can be so apply so much alliteration to the headline. So, but
I do.
once again, thank you, Kat. It's so brilliant. It's so brilliant to write for such a refreshing publication.
Thank you, Alan.
It's full of authentic voices, and there's not a page that's kind of to be swept by, apart from maybe mine, if you're not into this kind of stuff. But I'm just to prove this is live. I'm actually going to call out to the kitchen. Hello, anybody in the kitchen? Can you bring Marty through, please? Sorry, I forgot to bring Marty through. But essentially, my thank you. Enter stage from that stage.
Hey, Marty.
So I've been teaching now for 10 years, as I say, and just as kind of people were coming out of the first kind of moment of being incarcerated in the way we were, my amazing school offered me the opportunity to become a subject lead for computing, and in doing so, I thought, you know what, I need to bring something fresh to the school, and I've always been inspired by the fact that rather than working to these kind of very rigid age-related expectations that many of us who've worked in schools for many years have become kind of familiar and set with, I thought, why not just go for the approach of saying, well, in these post-COVID times, as people are being able to experiment with this kind of hybrid learning model of just watching videos, and whether it's a live stream of with their teacher, or whether it's kind of on catch up or on demand, why not just let people learn at their pace? And essentially what I found was that when I was back in the classroom in September 2020 as subject lead, rather than talking about the kind of lost learning narrative and the catch-up curriculum, I found that so many children I was working with were so confident with technology. And it was that kind of opportunity that brought me together with Marty, because it was during kind of lockdown 1 that I was fiddling around with my phone, and I saw this great app called Teacher Tap. And they do a daily survey, and along with the daily survey, they have this feature where they kind of mention opportunities for teachers to hook into resources that they might not have heard of before. And Marty comes from a company called Roboticals Limited, and they offer a fantastic 4-week free kind of trial period. And it was during that trial period that I thought, this robot is just astonishing. I managed to engage so many learners on so many levels. I thought, I've got to have him as part of my teaching repertoire and our learning journey for everybody at the schools I work for. So I wrote a plan, and a few months later, the team at Roboticals got in touch again and said, we love your work so much. Why don't you become one of our inaugural Marty Masters, which is where I am today. And they're actually having a a bit of a gathering at the moment as well as we're speaking.
Oh no!
Yeah, but I wanted to be with you. That's the most important thing. Yeah,
I feel honoured, Alan.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. And say that the Marty the Robot's fantastic. I got a chance to meet with some of the team whilst we were actually at BET. They were a guest on the Check It Out show on the stand. They won a BET award as well, didn't they?
Yes, that's it.
For Marty as well.
Yeah.
What I love about Marty actually is just how malleable it actually is. You know, so for your youngest learners, you know, it's really engaging, the whole facial expressions and stuff. But like you explain in the article, the progression's really there, isn't it? As you can develop, and not just from the way in which you can code it, but the way you can build it and engage with it in so many different ways. So. You know, I'm a big fan too, and in fact, I'm slightly envious that you've actually got a Marty, and I don't, Alan. So, it's just if the robotics team are watching, I'm still hopeful that we might land at Shay Mark at some point in the future. But
look, we'll find a way of making it happen, Mark. We'll find a way of making it happen. I mean, one of the great things about the robot is that I introduced Marty to the rest of my school. The school I work for is actually a part of a 12-school multi-academy trust. I mean, I know that the community is very divided about the politics of how schools are managed and organised, but I think my trust is amazing. They come together in the springtime, and we have a whole trust-wide science symposium where I got to get Marty to show his moves, and we did a kind of like a virtual coding session where wherever you are, you can send through the instructions, and then you can watch Marty do his moves, and it's just such a kind of an enriching experience for everybody. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the science. That the trust will be hosting a 2-week-long arts festival at the end of June, beginning of July, where, because of the moves that Marty does, he is just absolutely fantastic. So Roboticals are going to arrange for me, hopefully. We're going to have a team of Martys, all his family are going to come out, and we're going to have them coded by different children across the schools to recreate that viral video of Jerusalem from last year. So watch this space. We'll be hopefully going viral in July.
Fantastic.
That sounds absolutely amazing, Alan. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come and give us a bit of a deeper dive into your article.
Yeah,
did you have any more questions at all for Alan before we say ta-ta, Kat?
Just if there was anything else in the magazine that you really enjoyed reading, Alan, or kind of any other articles that resonated with you?
Oh, yeah. I love Rachel Holt's article. I've got a big plug for Rachel Holt. She's an amazing member of the social media community, and I love just getting in contact with her and all the stuff that she does. She's a truly special person. So thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, no, thank you for mentioning Rachel. She really is, and I loved it, and it's inspired me to think about learning Makaton. So good job, Rachel.
Brilliant.
Yeah. No,
all right, thank you so much, Alan, for your time.
A pleasure.
I really appreciate you popping on.
Thank you, and thank you for just being amazing. You guys are great.
Thank you, Alan.
Right back at you, Alan. Lovely to see you again, buddy. Take care. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers, Alan. Bye. Oh, fantastic. And
lovely.
So good to see Marty as well as Alan, obviously, and good that his internet held up in the end. So who's next up on the show then, Kat?
So next up, I'm so excited to welcome on Fabian Darku. Going to be talking all about reflecting and correcting with purpose. Absolutely love this piece, and I think it's something that every teacher should be reading, and it'll be so useful in their classroom. So welcome to the show, Fabian.
Hi, good evening, Kat and Mark. Hi.
So nice to actually see you. I mean, we talk all the time on Twitter, but we're actually speaking to each other. Makes a change.
That's right, in real life.
IRL. I've got to say, you're looking absolutely dapper there as well.
He always does.
I thought my shirt was quite nice, but I mean, look at you.
I know. Where's your tie, Mark? You're letting the side down.
I know. I have to say, I was dressed in a tracksuit about half an hour ago. Just had to quickly jump in the shower because I'm a PE teacher in a college as well. So quick changeover, and then here I am.
No, brilliant. No, thank you so much for coming on, Fabian.
Oh, no problem.
For anyone that doesn't know you, could you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. I'm a teacher in further education. I work at a college in Watford called West Herts College. I'm also a teacher trainer. So I work with a group of approximately 10 trainee teachers at the moment. And I also work as a teaching and learning leader within the college that I work at the moment. But I've been teaching since roughly 2008 when I started in the secondary school setting. So I did start off as a cover supervisor, then moved on to a PE GTP, they used to call it, the graduate teacher program.
Yep.
And then, it's just kind of gone on from there, really. And it's flown by.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. You made me realise, though, next time you write for R.I.S.E, we need to get you writing about PE. All this like specialism in it.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the things that I still feel passionate about. It's my roots are PE and sport from a young age. So
yeah,
it just happened that I've branched out into other things from that, and it's just led me on to blogging about teaching and learning issues.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we loved your article, both me and Mark. I know we mentioned it when we did our little Rises Live video before, actually, about how there were lots of useful tips to take away. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wrote it?
Okay, so reflection is always something that I've enjoyed doing, but I'd say, especially over the past maybe 5 years or so, and I think I reached a point in my teaching career when I thought there was just so much marking to do. I just felt a bit overwhelmed with everything that I needed to do. And then I wouldn't say it's one particular evening that led me to blog and to think about something like the article that I wrote, but it's something where I wanted to think of solutions to problems, really. So I felt that I could actually feel the burden of having to mark countless amounts of work, and I just felt, well, same as other educators, I just felt overwhelmed with the duties that we needed to fulfill. So with the particular article that I've written for this edition, it's a follow-on from the piece that was in the previous one, but this one has delved more into how it's like a model that I created and how it actually works on a day-to-day basis. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so some people may have heard of it. It's something that I devised a few years ago called RATE, and the R stands for reflect. So whenever I have a lesson, I wouldn't say for every single lesson, but a lot of the time I'll reflect on how the lesson has gone. So it could be that it was a brilliant lesson, could be that it was a lesson with dilemmas and issues. So I'd always reflect on the lesson. Then the A is looking at the achievements, because sometimes it's quite easy to get bogged down with our lessons that didn't go too well, and we think we beat ourselves up about it, but most lessons do have some kind of achievements within there, so it's just about grasping those as well. And then the T is setting targets for myself as an educator. If, let's say, I did come across a dilemma, then how would I solve that dilemma? So to come up with a series of targets to resolve the issues. And then to close the loop, the E. So the E stands for enforce and evaluate. So I'd think of a specific time period where I would actually close off the target, and then a period in the future where I'd evaluate the same targets as well. So it's just something that I devised, and I tend to use it not always as something that's a written set of targets, but even as a mental note, it's something that works really positively for me to ease my mind and to settle my mind of different issues that go on a day-to-day basis that we come across.
It's really, really useful, I think, Fabian, because often, say we're all teachers by trade, the three of us here, we've all had one of those lessons, and it's really to get bogged down with whatever the issue was. And so what I loved about it is not only the fact that it sort of takes you through that whole sort of circle and gives you what will your tangible takeaways be to try and sort of focus on at the end and to the enforce and evaluate bit at the end. But also, I think the A is probably a really important thing to do, because actually, we see it whenever I walk into any classroom, I always learn something, even though I don't teach, and teachers are terrible for imposter syndrome, right? But making sure you've got that bit in there just to reflect on something that was positive, I think is so useful, because when you do have a bad lesson, it can ruin not only your whole day, but it can ruin your week. It can, it can really impact you, can't it? So, power to you, and thank you for sharing it in the magazine, Fabian. I think it's really, really useful, yeah, no, really, really helpful. Thank you very much indeed. We're looking forward to how to get you back writing some more and sharing some more of these thoughts. Although maybe you could follow in Toria's footsteps and write a book.
That's true.
Mileage in this as well.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, definitely. So, I've speaking of Toria as well, she's somebody that I've connected with online. So she's got a fantastic, Tiny Voice Talks movement as well. So that's something that I'm part of as well, and exciting things for Toria and the book in the pipeline.
Yeah, very exciting. So what did you think of issue 3? Were there, obviously your article was amazing, but were there any other articles that you particularly enjoyed, or other bits that you took away from it?
Yeah, definitely. I heard at the start of the show you mentioned the periodic table of educators for EdTech as well. So I've come across that, and there's a few names that I hadn't come across before, so it's good to have a glance at that. And I've also read your article, Kat. So
thank you.
It's interesting that you mention it's to do with things like safeguarding in the classroom, and that we need eyes at the back of our heads as teachers to almost see what's going on. So I remember laughing when I was reading the article, because I thought it's quite similar to what I do in the classroom. I kind of snake around the room in between the tables and look at the laptops, what's going on, what you're looking at. You
kind of have to, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So it's it did make me chuckle, that article as well. So many great articles in there, and I think something that a lot of people will agree with is the CPD side of it is just amazing, and we need CPD to be something that is enjoyable, like the magazine is. I think you're now into issue 3. And I just hope it continues to go from strength to strength, as I'm sure it will do. So it's going to give a lot of educators a lot of hope and a lot of reassurance of what we're doing, and a lot of solutions, which is what I hope to achieve with my article as well.
Yeah, you definitely have,
Fabian.
And
thank you.
If you carry on writing for us and our other great contributors do, I'm sure it will continue to go from strength to strength. So thank you so much. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It was brilliant to talk to you. Mark, did you have any more questions?
What was your experience of writing like for the magazine? Because I'm guessing you haven't written much before. So what was your experience of writing for R.I.S E, Fabian?
Yeah, so funnily enough, I've written a few other pieces, but in terms of R.I.S E magazine, I think it's something that is slightly different, because it's something that it appeals to primary, secondary, further education, and you can work in any of those different areas and pick the article up or pick the magazine up and just get something from it. Just even thinking about it now, I remember coming across an article that I think it's Head Teacher Chat, and they're talking about ways that you can be a good subject leader. So it's got absolutely everything in there. So that's why I like R.I.S E magazine, because it's quite broad in what you can find. And I have written in the past other blogs on specific articles for different educational organizations and different things like that. But I'd say R.I.S E magazine is just something that really like the way it's organized. And from being a writer myself, I appreciate how much effort goes into it, especially things like the editing. So when I write myself, I often can go off on a bit of a tangent, because I've got so many things just ticking over in my mind, and I'll send it off to you guys, and yourselves will look at it and just maybe edit a few bits out and just cut it down to a perfect amount for the magazine. So really appreciative of that. And you do things like the images and the illustrations. You'll select things that fits our article. So for mine, don't know whose decision it was, but a really good idea to put a light bulb in there. So that's yours. So it's, really, really good. So anything you need as a writer, R.I.S E magazine and Mark and Kat are just there to help you and just give you ideas and help you with anything you you need to get your article out there. So I definitely advise it for others.
Thank you so much.
Thank you ever so much, Trevor. And completely unrehearsed, but I mean, you said a lovely thing about Head Teacher Chat, Jonathan Coy's article about subject leadership. And I feel like I'm going to do some big reveal now, but our very next guest coming onto the stage right now is none other than Jonathan Coy, who wrote the very article that you were saying.
And he didn't pay me for that. He didn't pay me either. It's just kind of came out.
No. Well, tenner later. How are you all doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you, Jonathan?
All good. All good. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Oh, great stuff. Well, listen. Let's let Fabian off the grilling for a minute and say thank you for joining us. And we'll jump into a chat with you, Jonathan. Thanks so much, Fabian. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So, Jonathan, welcome.
That was definitely not rehearsed, but it worked so well.
Brilliant. I couldn't ask for better.
No, it's so great to have you here. So can you tell us a bit about you and Head Teacher Chat and all the things that you do?
Oh, right. Okay. Head Teacher Chat. I started Head Teacher Chat about 8 years ago on Twitter. And I was an aspiring head teacher, and then I became a head teacher, and then a deputy CEO of an academy trust. And I did all the roles in schools like caretaking, dinner lady, dinner man, right appropriate one of saying it. But we started Head Teacher Chat to find out information about what was out there. And what we found was it's a fantastic platform to asking questions about experts in the field and getting answers to what is up-to-date things that's going around. And we started getting in contact with people like Dame Alison Peacock and asking about assessments, how to do that in schools. And we became known to asking questions on Twitter. And it developed from there. And now it's what we do full time. Myself and Lucy, we both do Head Teacher Chat full time, and we love it. But the core bit of what we do is actually there to support head teachers, senior leaders in school. And there's a lot of things that are going on in the background that we are doing to help them. So there's a lot of coaching and support work that we do. We get loads of messages daily on how we can help. Some head teachers in sort of crises that need a little bit of support and direction in the right direction. Some head teachers saying, okay, what's a good IT system to use? I mean, I would recommend Classroom Cloud every time, but I don't know why I would say that. But so we have a whole range of different things that we're supporting with. So we also do planners.
Yes, they're gorgeous.
And, this is the most popular one this year.
Is it?
We've sold so many of the stars. We got the floral, which is great. But
see, I prefer that one. That's probably more me.
Yeah, and it links into what we're trying to do. We're trying to help as many school leaders as possible, and that's why we wrote the blog about how to help subject leaders in school, what the key points to doing it, and it's a fantastic magazine. So yeah, that's Head Teacher Chat. Have I missed anything out?
No, I think you gave a very good description there of Head Teacher Chat, and thank you. And yeah, you did. Obviously, your subject was all about making your subject leadership successful, which was a really good read. What kind of inspired you to write about that kind of topic in particular?
Well, they're the starting part of leadership in schools, and actually when you're a teacher and then you start getting a subject lead, it's that first leadership role, and actually it's quite an important one that you start to build a good foundation for future leadership. So that's the reason. There's Bramble in the background. I apologise for Bramble. He has to turn up sometime.
That's okay.
I'm sure the cat will turn up sometime and sort of like lay on the laptop or something. But yeah, so subject leadership is so important in schools as well. And we put together 5 or 6 points that actually make it easier for subject leaders in schools. One of the key bits is we talk about, and what Fabian was talking about, is that CPD element. And we've got to really train teachers and school leaders up to having good CPD in school, and actually how to be a school leader. And it's hard. because you're telling other people how to do things. You're putting all the action plans in place, and actually you've got to get everyone on board, and there's a whole multiple things that you need to do with it. So we talked about a range of things. I can go on. Community and collaboration is very important, especially with Head Teacher Chat. We're very keen to promote those communities, and we have, well, you can join the Head Teacher Chat community, and we can help you through the stages, because these are our aspiring head teachers. So these subject leaders will be head teachers of the future. So we want to help them out as much as possible. And then we talked about having a clear vision. What do you want as a subject leader? What do you want your subject to look like? How are you going to own it in the school? How are you going to be the champion of it in the school? What is the key focus? So those are some of the points. We got also about planning, how to do a plan. And if you are a subject leader, you can get a subject leader planner, obviously, which will help you through all the things. Because what we found is actually you need to put all your meeting notes down. You need to record all those meetings you have. You need to record all the bits that link to the school development plan, your action plan. And our planner sort of does that. It's sort of like, it's the old-fashioned way of doing things rather than all electronics and on Google Drives and things like that. I love Google Drives and all the other systems in place that you can use, but actually there's something you can't beat paper. And actually, when you're catching someone down a corridor and you've got to tell them something, you can jot it down in your planner, and then you can use that information to populate all your other documents that you have in the system. That's the way we have the planner, and that's how it's there to work. So if I missed anything, or I just rambled on a quick way of going around this what I talked about.
No, not at all. Yeah, and I really liked how you did have a focus on how actually to support subject leaders, they need to learn about how to lead. You know, so that kind of stuff, that's really important.
Sorry.
You don't catch it. You've got to learn how to do those leading. You've got to learn how to do action planning. You've got to learn how to manage your time, all those sort of things within a subject leader. It's one of the hardest roles in schools. It's really tricky.
You know, it really is, because the thing is, when you're at university, you know, you might have done a subject degree and then a PGCE, or if you've done a BEd, you know, you know your subjects and you know how to teach, but leadership is completely different, and you know, from learning how to manage budgets to how to bring people with you on your journey, through to motivating staff, through to, you know, so many things. It's a difficult thing, isn't it? Sort of stepping up into that position. So I've always been an advocate for saying that, like you said, and Alan alluded to it a bit in his bit as well. You know, subject leadership requires that, like you said, that vision for the future, doesn't it? And how you're going to be that champion for your subjects. In a secondary setting, you know, it's important for retention of colleagues. It's important for retention of sign-ups onto your courses if you're a non statutory subject, if you're an option subject. You know, it's really, really important. I thought there were loads of great takeaways from your article, Jonathan, about to help people both in position already as subject leaders, but also those aspiring to become subject leaders as well. I thought it was a really useful piece, and came at just the right time of the year, really, when a lot of people might be thinking about making that next move and applying for that job for a September start as well. So really, really good. I'm interested, Jonathan, to find out what your experience of writing for R.I.S.E was like. I mean, you write and share a fair bit. What was your experience of writing for R.I.S.E like?
I thought it was good. I mean, it's such a great magazine to write for, and it's got so many different ideas. I particularly like the Pet Corner because of Bramble, but I haven't actually contributed to it yet. I need to do that for the next one. But
you do, yeah. I've got space for a Bramble.
For me, it's about building that network. It's about communicating, sharing ideas, because there's a load of experts out there, and not many people know about some of the experts that we have that can share those ideas. And it's more, in some ways, it's more to do with that connecting. I'm trying to put it into an example. It's we got loads of people out there that sort of like really trying to not put a negative spin on what our teachers and senior leadership are roles are like in schools. And actually this puts it in a much more positive light, and actually puts it in, this is what it's like in schools, this is how it can help you. And there's some really great articles. I love Toria's article, and I love Fabian's article as well. And they give you practice of what's happening in schools at this moment and how it can help. Because sometimes we overcomplicate things, and actually I prefer to keep things very simple. And from the article, it's not rocket science of what I've written about. It's quite straightforward things, but actually there's some of the important things. And I like the R.I.S.E magazine because it keeps it straightforward, simple, and anyone can use it.
No, brilliant. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm so glad that you've had a good experience of it and that you enjoyed the magazine. And yeah, we loved your piece. It was so helpful.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much. So if you're looking to connect with Jonathan, please do. You can see the Twitter handle sort of scrolling across the bottom there. It is, as it says on his own little banner there, at Head Teacher Chat. And I'm sure he'd be very keen to hear from you if you wanted to connect with him on Twitter and other social media. So thank you for joining us this evening, Jonathan. Really good to see you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonathan.
As well. Thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of your evening.
Have a good evening.
Cheers. Thanks. So, Kat, who's up next on the show this evening?
We were going to have Kate up next, but I don't see her in the green room. So I think it looks like Penny might be ready. So I think we're going to have Penny on a few minutes early, and she's going to be talking all about her article supporting pupils with English as a second language. And I'm really excited to bring her on. Welcome, Penny.
Welcome, Penny. Yeah, thank you. Lovely to see you. And it's really interesting. I wanted to jump in with a question straight away, if that's all right, Kat, because you use the term English as a second language, but there's ESOL, there's EAL, there's very similar terms for what are sometimes quite different things. Penny, could you explain what those are for me before? And this isn't the grilling that we said we would actually give you, but I think it's an important point actually, because there is a distinction between the two, isn't there?
There is, and as you can tell, Kat, I do have a cold. I did warn you I'd be croaky. Thanks for that earlier.
Sorry.
If my voice goes completely, that's why. So I do apologise.
It's okay.
Yeah, there are very different terms, and I think it depends on different schools and how they banner it. And to be honest, I don't know all the different terms and what they all mean. My school, it's EAL, so English as an additional language, but it used to be EMA, Ethnic Minority Achievement, and that wasn't, although that was the title for it, that wasn't really what it was about. It was about supporting children that had English as an additional language, as a second language. So yeah, EAL and ESL are the most common ones that I know. So yeah, that's what my school call it, EAL. We go from there. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Penny. And I've jumped straight in and completely wiped out the first question, which is actually because we feel like, I mean, this is our first time meeting actually, but hiya. It's all like we're old friends, but
it doesn't normally sound like this. Just and
I'm gonna steal Kat's thunder now by taking her first question. So, for those who don't know you, Penny, who are you and what is it that you actually do?
So I'm very croaky. I'm Penny Whelan. I'm an assistant head and Senko and EAL coordinator at a junior school in Luton. I work part-time. I work 3 days a week. 2 days I'm at home with my little boy, he's running me ragged usually. And I also do some work for the Linking Network, which is something I wrote about in a previous edition of R.I.S.E. So if you want to know about that, read a different one to this one. But yeah, that's what I do.
Brilliant stuff, Penny. Thank you. So we jumped straight into the deep end with your article. I'm now just doing Kat's job of asking the first few questions. Sorry,
I know. Just taking over.
By asking the EAL question. You talk about EAL in your article, don't you?
Yeah.
The title of the article is Supporting Pupils with English as an Additional Language in the Primary Classroom. Could you share a little bit about why you chose to write that article, please?
So I love writing for R.I.S.E. I love writing for Kat particularly. She's always so supportive. It's great. You're a great editor, and it's really easy to do. And I feel the things I can write about are the things that I know. And obviously, EAL is one of my roles, and it's something that I think I'm always learning about. And it's something that needs to be afforded a lot of time in school, and something that doesn't always happen. Even with myself, sometimes I think I really need to spend a bit more time looking at this, and it's not always possible. but I'd been having some conversations with Anne-Louise Jordan as well, who's also on Twitter, and something that she's very, very good at. And we've had some really interesting discussions and some chats on New to SLT chat things as well, which have been really good. And it's all about supporting the children in the classroom. And I think we quite often get hung up on children arrive in our classroom with very little English. And that's always a bit of a panic for teachers. And that's one of the things I wrote about in my article was when you get children that don't speak any English at all, what do you do with them? That the risk is that, you know, you're going to be feeling really panicked about it, and you think they're not going to be able to access any of the work. But obviously you have to make reasonable adjustments for them, and they will be able to access everything. So for me, it's about building confidence with staff and sharing strategies that they can use in the classroom. And that's what the article was about, reassuring people that everyone feels the same way, but there are lots of things you can do to support children, and not just the ones with no English that have just arrived in the country maybe, but also the advanced bilingual learners that have been here for a very long time, or were born here and their families were born here, but their main language at home is different. And it's all about celebrating that. And, you know, to be able to speak 2 languages is amazing. I can't do it.
It's amazing.
I have enough trouble just with English. So, you know, for them to be able to do that is something that really should be celebrated. And I really don't want the children, you know, in our school, they certainly don't feel this way, but I don't want any children to feel as if they can't speak their own language, their home language, because it's so pivotal to their learning. You learn in one, you learn in another. So
absolutely.
There's lots of strategies and things in the article based on that.
Yeah,
I
loved how
So sorry.
Is that right? I was going to say
you go, Kat, because I've been talking enough as it is. Go on.
I was going to say I loved how you reflected on the fact that there's that kind of assumption that when you hear English as an additional language, that it'll be pupils that come in with little to no English, but obviously forgetting about the advanced learners and all the different stages. So I thought it was really great how you talked a lot about how it's dependent on each child, and then the strategies that you put in there would really support all those different stages. So that was kind of really well thought out.
And there's a lot of really simple things like having dual language books in your library or in your classroom. Although you can't always assume that a child that, you know, can speak a language at home, you can't always assume that they can read in that language or that their parents can. But, you know, labeling things around the classroom, lots of visuals. Visuals are so important for EAL, for SEN, just for any learner really. So lots and lots of things, and so many websites with so many different resources. Obviously Twinkle has got a multitude of resources. The Bell Foundation is brilliant for EAL. You know, there's lots and lots of places that you can get support as well, definitely.
The thing that I love the most, Penny, was that the takeaways were really tangible, you know, practical, pragmatic. You know, you could really go, and like you say, it's simple stuff, but you don't know what you don't know.
No.
And actually, when you're in that position in the classroom, you know, it's difficult to see the wood for the tree sometimes. So having something that is really tangible and you know, brilliant takeaways like you've shared in there is so useful. So that's what I wanted to share. Really, I thought it was a really helpful article for so many teachers. So thank you very much for writing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I learned a lot as well. I didn't really know much about translanguaging, and I found that really fascinating. So then I went and did a bit more research on that. So yeah, lots to take away, even though obviously you say it's simple things. Actually, there was at least one thing I hadn't really thought of before. So I'm sure everyone found something in there.
Good.
You were really complimentary, Penny, about Kat. Could you talk a little bit about your experience of writing for R.I.S.E magazine?
Well, obviously, Kat has been amazing. Let me write in all of them so far, which has been a wonderful experience, and I love it. And so I've printed out hard copies for our staff room CPD shelf. So we've actually got paper copies on our CPD shelf, which is great. So I like having physical copies of things. Like Jonathan was saying earlier, I like having physical head
I love
online is great. And what I love about R.I.S.E is that you can print off a hard copy, but I also like that it's interactive. That I hadn't realised until you did a session a little while ago that you can click on the page number that you want to go to and it will take you there. So that took me a little while to work all that out, but how you can click on all the different links and things is just brilliant. And I loved all the articles from everybody else. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting Alan and Toria in real life, and they're amazing people. And Toria, you know, has just taught me so much. And Alan, I heard him speak at Research Ed in London, and he was just phenomenal. And obviously I've met Jonathan and Lucy from Head Teacher Chat at Edgy Drinks as well, which is always fun, but that's obviously virtual meeting. There were so many other articles in there that I just thought were amazing. So Nick Oxford's one was brilliant, and congratulations for her because she's just won Rising Stars Award, which was brilliant.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I loved Alan's. I loved, and I also there were another two that I really really liked. One was Rachel Holt, which was one on Makaton. So obviously with EAL background and SEN, Makaton is just brilliant. And
marriage made in heaven.
Yeah. So she sort of sends me lots of little video clips on WhatsApp as well. Like, oh, I love that. And I've learned a huge amount from her. And the other one was Wendy from My Mood Stars, who I think she thinks I'm a bit of a stalker at the moment because I just ordering sets of Mood Stars because I want to have a set in each classroom. And yeah, they're just brilliant as well. So really I love you've got bite-sized chunks of different things, and you've got so many different people. And I also really liked the Chromebook shortcuts because I learned a lot.
Oh, you can thank Mark for that one.
Thanks. I'm not very good at that. I'm still learning a lot, so that was really really useful.
Yeah,
obviously Pets Corner we like, don't we, Kat? So
of course we do. It's our favourite.
So yeah, I like this fact there's something for everybody, and yeah, it's just so diverse and so varied. It's a brilliant piece.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's
Penny.
really lovely. Thank you so much, Penny. Thank you. Just given I've stolen all of your questions so far, pretty much, Kat, did you have any questions for Penny beyond what we've already asked?
You've already kind of answered most of the questions now, to be honest. You've worked your way through them like wildfire. So I'm impressed.
As I was listening to that, I was like, yes.
I'm going to write that. Brilliant. No, I don't think I had any more questions. Just to say thank you so much for writing for all 3 issues that we've had so far. And you're always welcome to write for more, obviously. And thank you so much for your piece. It was so helpful.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me. I think I might have run out of things to write about for a while. I'll let you know.
Restock it up and come back to me.
Yeah, have a little bit more experience and come back. But yeah, it's been great. So thank you very much.
No,
thank you for all your support with everything, Penny. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No problem. Anytime.
Cheers. Thanks.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
So next up, Kat, who is joining us taking the final grilling of the evening?
The final grilling. Last but not least, we have got Kate McCallam, and I'm really excited for her to talk all about grit. I love saying that word out loud, grit. So welcome to the show, Kate.
Welcome,
Good one, isn't it?
Yeah. Finally, I was hanging about in some kind of pre-waiting room, so I'm sorry about that, but I'm here now. So yeah,
I did check because I was like, she's not said she's struggling to get on or anything. But...
No, I just hadn't come into the green room. I was too busy watching the show.
Oh, that's
great.
Then.
It's really good.
Oh, good.
We thought we might have scared you off from all the little tweets beforehand.
Oh, yeah. I know, the barbecue grilling. I like that one, Mark. Yeah.
He really wanted to rub it in, didn't he? So,
no.
So, Kate, for anyone that doesn't know you, could you just tell everyone a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah. So I'm Kate McCallam, and I am now a writer and an education consultant. Before that, I've been in primary education for 15 years with generally a literacy background. But then I very quickly got into computing. We talked about subject leading, and I was sort of given that one in a previous school as the one that nobody wanted to do. But I got really into computing, which is when I met Mark. And so kind of went on a journey with that as well. And so I've been doing a bit of coaching with schools in the computing side of things as well. So I'm kind of 2 things now. I'm writing my own stuff and for a lifestyle magazine and for educational magazines such as yours. And then I'm doing a bit of consulting as well. So yeah. That's me.
Really exciting. And it's great having you write for R.I.S.E. as like you say, you've got lots of you're writing for all sorts of different bits of content and stuff. And so we love having your things come in.
Oh, thank you. It's been a great experience, really. And it's just, as so many of the previous guests have said, it's just a fab way of people putting their views out there and a great forum to do that. And you know, I've learned so much myself just reading through the articles. You find things, you click on things that you might not necessarily see on Twitter, you might not read that. And then just in this month's magazine, I've booked 2 webinars. I've connected with other people on Twitter. That it's just another way, isn't it, of people connecting and sharing ideas, and all about best practice, which is what we're all in it for, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And speaking of best practice, could you tell us a bit more about your article? So that you had a forward-thinking curriculum. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty, yeah. I used to work in TV, can you tell?
Maybe, just a little bit.
That was my segue into grit and resilience, really. So it kind of followed on from my previous article that I wrote in, I think it was issue 2, wasn't it, on a forward-thinking curriculum. I'm very much into educational reform and how we best model education now to fit the purposes of the workplace of the future. And so I recently went to the Times Education Summit in London. That was 2 weeks ago, about the findings of the Times Ed Commission, which was just fantastic. And I think before I was writing about the 4 C's and what that meant, but now with this article, I was looking at character. And I think more and more schools are looking at what they've got to do in terms of instilling the right dispositions in the children and how they can help build character, because it is crucially important. And you get, organizations like Becoming X who are looking at what makes success and what leads to career success. Well, not just career success, but life success, happy, healthy lives. And so because of that, I started looking at grit. I'm quite interested in how that plays out with the growth mindset, which we all know so much about. And just I went into that really and had a bit of a deep dive into grit, which was fun. Yeah.
Oh, you said deep dive on a show called Deep Dive.
I know. Oh gosh, I'm doing it again.
Nicely done. No, that's fantastic. No, I completely agree. Those kind of character aspects are really important. And I think, like you say, a lot of schools are spending more time looking into weaving a lot of those aspects into the curriculum, because they realise that actually they're preparing them for a future of jobs that aren't even there yet, and whatever it is that they do, those kind of key soft skills are going to matter for everything, aren't they? So
it's very uncertain, and I think I've read things as well about parenting over the years, and just because of the way that more and more parents are at work now, and not to say that parents don't have a huge role in instilling characteristics in the kids, they do, but they need some help along the way, and we need to all work together. And I think there's been a lot of pressure on schools to bring up numeracy and literacy more so than everything else, and we can forget about the other things along the way sometimes, particularly in early years, for example.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Character's huge, and it's been a priority for the government for quite some time. I was fortunate enough back, 1992, when the government were bringing in the new citizenship curriculum. I did a DFE research trip to Texas, of all places, to look at how they develop character there. But the world is such a changing place, and schools have obviously got a responsibility, and parents have. But you'll know as a parent yourself, Kate, nothing prepares you for it, does it? And so, you can read enough books, more books. You go to a whole library reading enough books on character, but it's really, really difficult, isn't it? And what do you think the next steps might be? I mean, have you read the book by Chris Hildrew about developing a growth mindset school? Have you seen that one at all?
No, I haven't. Read that particular one. I've read a lot on. I will take a look at that. I've read about obviously Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset and how that filtered in, and I do, obviously I think it's hugely important. It's brilliant, but I just, as I said in the article, I think it's a term that people have latched onto, and it's got to be used correctly, hasn't it? And I think
absolutely.
That's my point with it now. And I think being from Yorkshire, I like grit, Yorkshire grit, and all of that, as we say. So I don't know why that term sits better with me. And gritty people have to have a growth mindset. So the two are very, very intertwined. But it's about deliberate practice as well, and things like that. But I'll take a look out for that book. What did
you? Go on.
What did you find in Texas then?
Well, there were lots of things. It was really interesting. Some of the stuff, it was it was a place called Lubbock, which was a dry part of Texas anyway, Buddy Holly's birthplace, as it goes. But they had two initiatives going on. One which I think is still relevant today, and another one which will probably, it was very much. And we see it playing it in lots of our schools. Actually, there were, almost like pupil referral units. They were just corners of lots of the schools that were there, which had cubicles, children sat like that with books, complete silence. But the thing which was quite scary for me, and I guess that's probably because I'm British, but it was being patrolled by a policeman with a gun in a school, with children ranging in ages from sort of 8 upwards, So that was kind of a bit of a shock, and that was one of the things that we sort of didn't bring back with us as a recommendation. But one thing that was really, really good was this idea of an organisation called Character Counts. And if you know my work around digital strategy and pillars of digital strategy and things like that, it really resonates. I mean, pillars are good things to hang ideas off of anyway, but Character Count had these 7 pillars of respect and community and so forth and so on. And I think, like with many of these things, we heard Jonathan talking before about subject leadership and the importance there. And you'll both know me; I'm a big technology person, but actually, the biggest difference that's going to be any success to any kind of work with technology is always people. It's you yourself. It's your own metacognition, the cognitive thing about knowing what's right and so forth, but the meta part of actually then taking that and doing something about it. I think that for me is the key part of the grit message that you're sort of sharing about, Kate, because without that internal voice going, do you know what, I need to do this, people can tell you. It goes to that old adage about leading a horse to water, isn't it? But you can't make it drink. Well, the ducks to water can make it swim. I always get it wrong.
Right,
you know the sort of thing I mean, right? But you need to own that thing yourself, don't you? With the grit thing, because it's got to come from within, surely.
Yeah, and I just think there's lots of things you can do to I think schools are generally doing a good job of the whole growth mindset initiative and getting our children to understand, no, come on, you need to have resilience. It's a good thing. And you spoke about dispositions, and the last school I was in, we had 6 dispositions, one of which was resilience, and that it was so interwoven through the fabric of our curriculum that it wasn't, it really was important, and it was fully embedded. And I think that's something that we need to look at. And I think we do call them soft skills, but they're really not. The difference between having it and not having it is huge. And as adults, you're teaching staff as well. We need to work on us ourselves having as much grit as we can, because it's tough out there. You know.
No, absolutely. And actually, you mentioned in there, didn't you, that teachers that were kind of had that gritty characteristic were actually more likely to kind of, enjoy their work, have that good kind of good work-life balance, all those good things that are actually going to support the students because they're able to bounce back.
Yeah, and modelling that as well, and keeping optimistic, and all these things that I just think it's all sort of, the positive mental attitude, how we approach things. I think, we've come a long way now, that, we know that these things, you're going to have a tendency to be more pessimistic or optimistic, but you can rewire your brain. You can, think in a different way, and grit and these character skills can be taught. And I think, schools, we have to think about, what the knowledge and the skills, but we know as well we need to think about character. So every school, I think, needs to consider, if you were to, I always, think about it when they finish, if you've got a child who is your archetypal student at 18 and you slice them down the middle, what would you want in them, And I think that, that's for schools to figure that out and for what's important for them. And then in at the moment, it's for the government to figure out in terms of how that fits with the business and the world. Because at the moment, the UK in particular, according to the summit and the findings, is that we're getting it wrong. There's a huge gap, which is what I'm going to write about next.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, Kate.
Yeah,
no, that would be fantastic. Yeah, no, thank you. It was a really brilliant piece and lots for kind of everyone to think about and take away. With the issue itself, were there any other articles that resonated with you that you enjoyed reading?
Oh, tons actually. I've loved it. I tell you, I've been having a look at that Halo AR app. Mark. So I was thinking, I have. I was thinking about that and the guy with the rainforest and how that came to life. So I was having a look at that, and I liked, and Nicole Ponsford's on Dissing the Disadvantage. From that, I've kind of booked. That's what I booked my webinars onto that through. You click on people, you click on what they're talking about, you read other articles, and I think it's great what Toria is saying, that you expand your knowledge and you think, oh, that's interesting, and then you connect with people, and you often find that they know people you do or whatever. Definitely want a robot, that's for sure. And even what you wrote, Mark, about the I liked the bit about the QR, the well-being right at the very beginning, and then Mark, you were writing about having to have difficult conversations and things like that. So it's like everything you possibly come across in a school, really. And I just love dipping in and out of it. And I think I download it because I like to have it in PDF, and then I keep it. And then what I do is I write little notes to myself on Google Keep that I then refer back. R.I.S.E magazine, issue 1. This, because I know that I might forget otherwise, and so and I'll need a refresher. So when I'm coming to forward plan, I'll need to look back at that article, or I'll need to do things with it. So there are, but it certainly was given me a springboard to reach out and connect to more people, and to just know more about stuff about the teaching world and what's going on. And there's some fantastically knowledgeable people out there. So, if anyone's thinking about it, I would encourage anyone to read it first of all, but then, share your voice with the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's had so much to share. And like you say, that kind of networking is really powerful, and that kind of supportive community that everyone's kind of become that's written for it, which has been really lovely. And I love that you keep your notes in Google Keep and stuff. That's really cool.
Guess which man taught me that?
Oh, I wonder who it could be.
It's true. You said
you for this, has he? To just mention all the things you shared with me.
A long time. You said Google Keep often gets overlooked for screenshotting or whatever, and I've used it ever since. I do. I have Padlet for my career, where I have what I'm doing in each, because now it's sort of a bit different and in different areas. I have sort of columns in Padlet of what am I doing with that bit, what am I doing here, and leads and things. And then with Google Keep, it is basically I've got one for every subject, and every time I come up with a good idea, I put it into there, and I'm copying and pasting bits that I can then not forget, because otherwise I will be keeping all my planners from the past 7 years, flicking through, and that's just not feasible, really. So big fan of Google Keep.
Nice.
Thank you for spotlighting some of the things that I shared, Kate. But I think, not to do discredit to what you shared, not only was what you shared really interesting as well, but I mean, you referenced one of my favourite books from the last sort of 10 years, that Craig Barton, How I Wish I Taught Maths. I mean, such a great book, and the title of the book doesn't do service, because it's useful for every teacher, I think.
No, it doesn't.
So it's great to see you having shared that in your article as well, so thank you for that too.
I saw him talk at Research Shared, and he was just brilliant, just a born communicator, and just fab. I mean, when I read that really changed how I sort of felt about teaching, having come up with through the ranks of enjoyment and engagement, and that's everything. And as he said, baking cakes and Swiss rolls to teach fractions, and eating all of this, dressing up as Florence Nightingale, and and you can, and that's still great for primary, but so long as and it's the same thing with tech, isn't it? So long as the forefront is, what are they thinking about? What are they going to learn? What are they going to take away? So a fantastic guy. I like Craig a lot.
Yeah, brilliant book to reference.
Thank you very much indeed, Kate. Well, look, I think we're over time, and that's down to me probably nattering on too long, really. But thank you so much for taking time to
thank
join
you.
us on the show this evening, Kate. Kat, just in case people haven't picked up, what's the conversation tonight about?
So tonight was all about R.I.S.E magazine and meeting our contributors, having a chat with just a few of the amazing whole horde we've got of them, to talk about their articles and their experiences, and just to give you a bit of a taster really of what the magazine is like and some of the voices that are within there as well. And if you want your own copy, it's ticking along the bottom, netsupportsoftware.com/RISE-magazine. So yeah,
brilliant
check it
stuff.
out.
Well, listen, one of the things that's been lovely for me this evening, Kat, is saying everyone's saying such lovely things about you and working with you. And so, if you've been watching the show this evening and you've been thinking, well, I'd love to work with Kat, and I'd like to see my name in print, and I've got a few ideas to share from my classroom. Where maybe you've been using Google Keep and it's really transformed your note taking. You'd like to share how to do it or something like that. Then please do visit the same URL you can see across the bottom there, netsupportsoftware.com/RISE-magazine, and scroll to the bottom of the page and you'll see the little sign up form. Fill that in. That'll come through to the team who work on RISE, including Kat, and we'll be in touch about your submission to the magazine. But for now, I think we're probably done for the evening. Is that about right, Kat? Do you have any final words to share?
No, just thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much, Mark. And have a great evening, everyone. And thanks for joining if you're watching.
Great stuff. Thank you very much indeed. I'll just bring up the overlay again with the address and things on it so you can all see that. But for now, thanks ever so much and take care and keep safe out there. And not long until half term now, hey?
Not long.